little bit of that. Come alive at night, and let's see how you shake that bad brain. Let's see how you make that.
Hello. Sweet. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Horizon Podcast. I'm Jose Castro, co-founder of Horizon. I got two special guests with me today. First and foremost, I gotta introduce our co-host for today, Evan Smith.
What's up?
He's the one that got me into running. Without him, I don't even know if there'd be Horizon. And for the athlete today, who we got, he's one of the best in Canada currently. He moved up from the 800 to the 15. He's gonna represent Canada at Nacac Championships next weekend. A 335 runner. Sorry, I gotta respect his name. Please give it up for Rob Heppenstall.
What's up, everybody?
Oh, wow.
Light.
That 800 speed, bang.
Wow. Man.
Let's go. Rob, how are you, man?
Good, man. Good to be here. How you doing?
I'm good. Yo, welcome to the Bees. If you guys don't know, we're in Brampton, Ontario.
Yes,
one of the most hated places in Ontario. How's your experience in it?
So far, so good. You know what, man? I come to Brampton once in a while, but it's not too bad right now. So.
Yo, like people don't really know, but you're from the ends. You're from the area. You're from Hamilton, correct?
Yeah. So Hamilton. So it's about like a 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
No traffic. So.
How's training out there? How do you like?
Honestly, it was pretty good. So this year, I mean, I was in Hamilton from October to March, training there. They have like that Bayfront Trail, which is really nice.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of like it's near the QEW.
Yeah.
So there's like a decently good trail. They actually have like road races there. It's like 5K, 10K, 20K.
Yeah.
So there's actually a decent amount of places to run. And there's a lot of trails too. There's a rail trail that goes from Hamilton to Brantford.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of actually like good places to run outside of running on the track. So it's kind of underrated. Hamilton's got a decent amount of like trails and things like that.
Oh yeah. So where do you train at? That's not your main training spot though. Where do you like usually train at?
Yeah. So I guess it was this year my main training spot. But I actually ended up kind of going out to Colorado in March. I guess I'm gonna give you the little timeline for this year. So so the beginning of this year, I went back with my high school coach. His name is Phil Steele.
Okay.
He trained me all through high school. He kind of took me from a decently good 800-meter runner to be able to represent
world class.
You're
definitely
World
juniors,
Juniors, right?
Yeah.
So just worked a lot on strength. He learned a lot about me through that high school experience.
Yeah.
And then I obviously went to university. And then I kind of linked back up with him for this year. And we did a lot of strength work all the way through from October to March. A lot of it was done outside as well, just because we had that lockdown, right? Again. So we had that lockdown in January. Yeah. So, I mean, athletes like myself were just sort of stuck outside.
Yeah.
And we were able to really get some good work in, like, amidst, like, the tough weather, like, not having access to a track and so forth, and obviously like things getting shut down. So, but then once I got to March, a good friend of mine, Thomas Staines, he lives out in Colorado.
Okay.
He's all 145 2 guy. So like
that's legit.
Yeah, legit, like world class athlete. He said, "Do you want to come out and train in Colorado?" So essentially, what I did is I got 2 suitcases and just like pulled up to Colorado and just like was training there for about 5 weeks. He housed me, gave me a room at his place.
Yeah.
We hung out, we like had fun, we trained like animals out there. My first stint at altitude as well, so it was interesting to kind of transition from being at sea level for so many years and then getting into altitude like right before my season. I kind of took a risk with it because you never know how altitude's going to affect you, right?
A lot of people get injured because like it's just hard.
Also, like a lot of people like go there and like first time they just like puking out of their mind.
Yeah, no,
like
exactly.
Full explosion.
How was your experience with altitude?
Very good. I really advocate for it. I think it really helped me. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where there's little things in the sport at this level that you can do to get better. I mean, once you kind of get to like the top 150 in the world, like every little increment that can make you better, you should do.
Yeah.
And I mean, altitude was one of those things that I feel like for me just gave me that extra edge when I came back down to sea level, right? I mean, personally, it worked for me. I know there's other people it may or may not work for, and there's different philosophies. But I mean, personally, for me, like, it kind of made all the difference in the world coming back down and racing at sea level. So
man, and it looked like it paid off. This season was incredible for you, man. I just gotta say, like, I seen you. My first, like, when I first seen you was at national championships. And in Langley. Yeah. And then, man, it was so sick to just see how you took it out, like, at the end of that race. And like. I wasn't the one recording, Carlos was, but he caught like the sick video of you when you just, I think it was 150 meters around there left to go, and then you just like turn on the burners and just kick down and took the dub at national championships, man. Could you talk about that experience, like at Nats?
Yeah, no, it was definitely a race that I was looking forward to for a little while. Obviously racing guys like Will and Cam, like, those guys are world-class athletes, and especially having to meet them at a high-level meet like nationals is super fun. So kind of going into like that race, I was trying to, I don't know, throughout the week trying to figure out like, what do I do? Like do I try to take it out fast? Do I try to control it from the front, slow it down? And my plan changed every single day. For like literally every day, I'm like trying to I'm like overanalyzing it. Like, I'm at this specific place, I'm gonna do this. And then I kind of thought about it. I said, you know what? Like, I'm the 800 meter guy in the field. Like, the way to give myself the best chance is to make it slow and kick. And the longer I can do that, and the longer I can wait. I would have kept going 70-second pace for until 50 meters to go. I wouldn't have cared. I would have kept going. And obviously Charlie took it out.
Shout out Charlie. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean,
exactly.
When we're out there like walking, like someone's gotta take it. But yeah, it was good. It was really fun. I mean, a little nerve wracking when you're kind of in the front, slowing it down. Like, you just know in your mind, like, okay, something's gonna happen soon. It's kind of like the calm before the storm, right? So, but it worked out for me in sort of like what I wanted to do, the way I wanted to control it. I kind of wanted to wait till about 150. I would assume 120 till I make a move. But it was definitely fun, and it was fun, I think, for the other guys as well.
Oh, for sure. It looked like a sick race.
You guys at the front, like, I was watching, you guys were like chuckling and too. Like, what was that about?
Yeah,
like,
it's a conversation during a national championship.
You guys are running like what, like grade like 9-10 kids are running like.
Big slow. I think the girls beat us through 800. Yeah. No, I think they were quicker through 800. Yeah. So I guess like going into it, I wanted to go for standard, for like the world standard. And I thought, like, honestly, like, why not try? Very tough standard. And I realized that after running close to it, like a 10th off recently. But I think the field thought I was gonna go for a standard. So like I kind of like, well, because like the day before I was like, oh, everyone thinks I'm going for standard, so I think I'm gonna like gun it and like go super quick. And then I was like, it would be kind of hilarious if I did the complete opposite. I was like thinking, what if I just like got out really fast? Everyone just kind of like thinks I'm gonna go for it, and then just like shut it down. So when I did that, Kieran got up with me. Like I think we came around. I think you guys got a video of it with like about like 450 in. 550 in, I think. And we're coming around the corner. We're like going like we're crawling. Like almost like warm up pace. And Kieran goes up to me. He says, "He's like, not going for standard today." And I was like, "Nope, not today."
No way.
Yeah, that's what he said in that video.
Oh my God.
He's like, "You're not going for standard today." I was like,
"Yo,
no,
we're gonna put that video up." Oh my God.
Yeah, it's funny because like everyone's thinking like we're just talking. It's like no, Kieran. And I was laughing. I was like trying hard to like stay focused because like
it's a race.
But no, it was really funny. But and then that. I think the next 150 meters, all we see is Charlie just takes it.
Oh my God. It's funny too because I talked to them afterwards, and him and Aaron, like their teammates, they actually were talking as well in the race. And then Aaron was just like, let's go to the front. Yeah. And he was saying like, let's go to the front and like kind of make that little wall, like the little barrier, the 1-2.
Yeah.
And then, but Charlie had his own plan, but he was just like, okay. Yeah. And then so when Charlie started going, Aaron was like, okay, he's going to the front just to like go. But then he's actually just started going. Like that was like his real plan. So then Aaron was like, what the fuck's going on? But I mean, that's kind of just racing, right? Like, although it is fun, like at the end of the day, everyone's trying to win, right?
Yeah, and I really like championship style racing. Like, and I think more so in the 15 to doing the 8, because the 8 you only have so many options.
Yeah.
But in the 15 it can be a little bit of a chess match, which I like, and I like kind of like the strategy, and I like kind of going into certain races, kind of like looking at your competitors, what their strengths, weaknesses are.
Yeah.
There's like little things like that within racing that make all the difference, like opening up like waiting for like
inside lane,
outside lane, like just kind of using your advantage, like straddling the outside of lane 1. There's little things you can do when trying to pass someone and not get disqualified.
Yeah.
Like, there's like a lot of things like you just kind of learn over the years, like, and it just takes like a little bit of trial and error too. So
no, for sure. And you don't have like, I would say, in that full field of like in the Canadian National Championships.
Yeah.
I would say you'd have like almost the least amount of like championship racing in the 15, because you're more so like of an 8 guy. You're really like known as like a great like 800 meter runner. I mean, you had an amazing like career at Wake Forest. Could you just talk about a bit about that, just like how you moved up, and also your like experience at a D1 school?
Yeah. So obviously through high school I was 800 meter runner. I actually ran a decent 1500 in high school. I ran 345. It was like one off kind of race. My coach wanted me to see what I could do. So I always kind of knew I was going to be a 1500 meter runner at some point. But I wanted to like see what it like just continue to 8 because I was having decent success. Definitely like was kind of hard to get faster than that 146. Like, and once I started doing that, like not plateauing, but kind of like being really consistent around that area, I said, you know what, like I know at some point I'm gonna be a 1500 meter runner. Even like the way I've been training, but I didn't really have a reason to not do, like I didn't really have a reason to stray away from the 8 because I was making the finals and forth, and I kind of learned how to race the 8 properly, so I kind of backed myself going into like championship style races again. But so that's kind of like where I was I was at, and then so
you always knew that like you'd be a 15 guy.
And like every coach has told me I was gonna be a 15 guy at some point, and like I knew that as well. But then this year I found was like the first year I was like, okay, I'm gonna really try to go for this. Like I'm gonna really try to like do the right amount of work for it. This is kind of like I would say one of my second year of actually doing specific 1500 meter work. I did it in university for my junior year. But it was still like around the like I was still running the 8 and racing the 8, but I was still training like a 1500 meter runner. So.
Okay, I see. And I mean, like I've just been keeping up with your season a little bit. I seen that recently you ran the mile, and then you ran 3:55, correct? Yeah. So now you're a sub 4 for a mile. That's pretty like huge in the I guess the distance world, man. Like how does that feel now, knowing that you really like set yourself as one of the best like in Canada in mid distance?
No, I mean that's been the goal for a while. I feel like I've always wanted to run the mile. I've always had like that 407 stuck to my name for a while. So it is good to break 4. Finally break 4. But yeah, like it's definitely good, and I kind of want to be good on both ends, like the 15 and like even up towards like a 3K, but then kind of keep that speed for the 8 as well still, right? So but no, it's good to be sub 4 club for sure.
Hell yeah, man. No, that's dope. So I just want to talk now a little bit just about your next race, your season. I mean, you've had such a long season already, but your next meet, right? Could you get into a little bit about that? So we got
Nacac coming up next weekend, so that'll be both the 8 and the 15, so it'll be like it'll be a little bit of double there. So it's gonna be in Bahamas, which will be pretty hot. So just trying to make sure stay hydrated and everything. So so that'll be that's up on tap next, and that'll probably be like the end of like the racing season. I might do like a few road races after, but but
that's solid. I mean, and you also have a lot of experience in representing Canada. I mean, you've been representing Canada since you were a teen, right? So how does it feel now, like being such a like, I would say you're basically like a veteran in like in the sport. How does it feel now knowing that you've done it as like a teen, rep Canada, and you've also done really well doing that, and now you're going into another championship race representing Canada?
It feels good. I mean, like the one thing I'm pretty happy with is just obviously like longevity, being able to sort of continue to progress every single year. Definitely like having like the COVID year really helped to kind of like restructure everything, like refocus. Kind of coming off that pretty bad injury too. Like in 2019, 20/2020, like I tore my plantar fascia. so on the bottom of my foot. So that was like a long process to kind of come back, like really tough injury, but like it kind of made me like, I guess, the runner I am today. Like I'm more focused on staying healthy and like really making sure like if I feel something, like I'm not gonna overtrain through it. So it's definitely good to kind of get to this point and be 25 and able to still make these teams and stuff, right? So
no, you've been through a lot of trials, man, but it shows that like you really went through it all and like your experience, you know what you gotta do now. No, that's really sick to see, man. I also want to talk just like, because I mean you said you went to Colorado, you've been traveling a lot this season.
Yes.
How do you support yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to tell the people, so you're actually an unsponsored athlete as of right now.
Yes.
So like how can you do all this traveling and all this, like, it's definitely, as much as it is fun, it's definitely costly. Can you just go into a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually had a job, like a remote job, all the way through full time, all the way through traveling. Yeah, so it's a lot of juggling when you're scheduling flights. Like I did all my own itinerary stuff, like flights from here to here to here to here. I pretty much just said like the biggest thing with this sport is that it's a spend money sport. It's not a make money sport.
Yeah.
I mean, there are sports like that, which are like the Olympic sports typically, where you're spending money, and the way I look at it is, man, it's like I'm investing in something that is going to be good in the long run. Like, obviously, like, hopefully I'm not going to be unsponsored next year.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, I mean, I could be using my money in a lot worse ways, you know what I mean?
That's so true.
So, I mean, if I'm using the money to get to a race where I could run a race that's going to change my life, I mean, to me, that's like it's a no-brainer. So, but I was putting a lot of my own money into it. I did have some money saved up previously, so I was able to do that. But you know what? It's when I was traveling, like I would go to races where I knew people. Like I appreciate everyone that's let me sleep on their couch or blew up an air mattress for me.
Just couch surfing, eh?
No, couch surfing, air mattresses blown up, like motels, man. Like it was, and like it seems like a lot of fun when you're out there, but like it's a lot of like, it is fun. You know what? It is fun because it's kind of like it's problem solving and everything, and like you kind of learn the ins and outs of the sport, like outside of the track. But like no, like a lot of people supported me along the way, like. One of my friends, obviously Thomas, let me stay in Colorado for 5 weeks before we went to California.
Huge, man.
And then I went down to California and like I stayed with his team. Like his team helped me out.
That's
and he graduated, so his Division II team. That was the singlet that I was wearing.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Yeah, so like that CSU Pueblo. Yeah, so I was wearing the singlet.
No way.
And They got me in their motel with them. Like I was allowed to stay with Thomas in the whole motel. And then I stayed with one of my friends up in San Fran before Peyton Jordan for like 3 weeks.
That's crazy though. So you really just had to like move around and figure it out along the way.
Yeah, and I couldn't have done it by myself. Like a lot of people helped me along the way. Like my friends from college were like letting me stay because they're all kind of scattered throughout the states. So. I would go into a race or like look at like, okay, so let's say this meets in San Francisco, for example.
Yeah.
Like I know someone in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So like I would just hit him up, be like, yo, can I like crash with you? Like for he's like, yeah, I got an air mattress. His name Andrew actually, Fia. He was an ex-teammate of mine, like from Wake, and he's like, yeah, just crash for like 3 weeks. So just like, I got like a little studio apartment, and like it was just me and him, and like I was like on the air mattress for 3 weeks, and then I go back to Colorado. And trained there for a little bit, go back to like Thomas's place, and then got to June, was in Portland, Motel 6, Nashville. I was like, and it is a spend money sport, and like sometimes you gotta spend the money and not like your credit card to get bills. You just gotta kind of say like that's painful, but you just gotta keep pulling the credit card out. But no, like it's like even recently, like when I was in Raleigh running that mile, like I stayed with my friend.
Oh, really?
For a week, in Raleigh, because he lives there. So, like, it's just one of those things where it was a crazy year, and, like, I did a lot of it myself, but, like, there's a lot of people that helped me along the way that, like...
Man, that's so sick, bro.
It definitely takes a village sometimes, right? So...
No, it's good. It kind of shows, like, just how the running community is. I feel like that's so different compared to other sports. Like, letting someone stay in your house for, like, up to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I feel like that's almost, like, unheard of in other sports, and it kind of makes track, like... it makes it such a sick like community.
Exactly. No, it's crazy because like man, like okay, for example, like Tyler Dawsey, he's a runner out in UDC. Shout out Tyler, by the way. I maybe have met him a few times, and like I was gonna stay out in BC for nationals, right? Because we had that the Harry Jerome meet.
Oh yeah.
And then we had the UVic meet.
Oh yeah.
And then like the national meet. So there's like
Thought about that. Let's just get back into it.
No, you're good. Yeah. And I guess some people went back home. Some people didn't go back home.
Yeah.
Like they were trying to figure it out. But I hit Tyler. I was like, dude, can I like crash with you like in your place for like a 10 days or whatever? He's like, yeah, sure. Like he was like super easy about it. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, hell yeah, that was perfect. And I was like, I know I've met him a few times. And I literally get there.
Yeah.
And me and a few others were there staying, and like he literally housed a couple athletes that were competing at nationals.
That's ridiculous.
And like and man, like it was awesome. Like we all had a great time. Like we were all vibing. Like we just all got dinners together. Like we were sleeping on like the futons and shit. Like, and it was like other than like the previous few days before nationals, I was in a hotel.
Okay.
But like that whole week, I was just like we were just like on like futons, like trying to figure out our living arrangements. Like I just got like one suitcase at this point. Like
that's ridiculous.
And I just kind of traveled around with one suitcase for about like 8 weeks there.
Yeah.
And it's just but you kind of go back to what you're saying. It's just like running as a community, right? Like
100%.
And if you're in it, like if you're in that niche kind of spot with running, like you kind of open up. You're kind of like affiliated with like a club that's like bigger than like the sport. You know what I mean?
No, that's so true.
Yeah.
I love what you just said there. You're like a club bigger than the sport.
Yeah,
that's so sick. I mean, cause all of us. I mean, I guess like the majority of like runners that continue, they're either at there's OUA here in Canada, but then NCAA, like I think they do a great job like supporting their athletes. It's almost like weird to see how a lot of athletes, they almost can like grow more when they're in the collegiate system, but then when they go out of the collegiate system, it's almost like you have that decision to like either continue and sacrifice a lot or you quit. And you see like a lot of people quit because it's just hearing your story, it seems like you have to do a lot of sacrifice and like moving around too. Like you can't just like settle down one place because you're gonna be across the country the next week for a race, right? It's just like I don't know. That's just crazy.
It sounds like it's worse than college. Like you know.
Like
at least college, like you're like on scholarship and stuff. Like you're given food. Like this is like full like hustle culture. Like
honestly.
Yeah. No, like I mean the NCAA and like any sort of body like that kind of has like a schooling system where like they take care of everything. You don't realize how like all the logistics that go into it. Like coaches have one of the hardest jobs on the planet in terms of like trying to make everything logistically work. Yeah. While also dealing with like personalities on the team, running workouts and things. That's so true. When you're kind of like doing it sort of somewhat by yourself, it gets a little difficult. Like but you definitely learn like just like life skills, which is really cool.
100%.
But no, the NCAA like they support. So like they support their athletes like 100%.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of take care of everything like
100%.
Yeah, when you get out of it, it definitely real life hits for sure.
Yeah.
you were saying like all the logistics in like NCAA are like taken care of by the coach. Like has there been any like terrible like nightmare stories like as a post collegiate like travel wise?
I've actually been decently lucky. Like I know there's been a lot of like flight delays which could have like really thrown off a lot.
Yeah.
Cause like I had everything timed down. If there was a flight delay, I'd be like but like I've been decently lucky. A few delays that were like okay, like no cancellations or anything.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think of the worst. Nothing terrible. Like nothing where like I missed a flight or like missed a race or anything. Like so yeah, I've been lucky I guess.
Yeah, no, that's sweet, man. That's actually like that's sick though. I was gonna say like while you're transitioning from NCAA to like pro. Yeah. In that moment, like, were there any like brands or like any companies trying to talk to you? I mean, because I know like for Canadian athletes, it's almost like a lot of Canadians fly under the radar, and even when they are world class, I mean like seeing yourself, you're towing up with like some of the best who were in NCAA. Now they're all like pro athletes for like Nike or like Brooks Beast and stuff. So it's like seeing yourself, like how was that transition? Yeah. So I actually left the NCAA kind of on an injury. So I left
while I was still hurt. And I kind of found out about my injury, how bad it was a little late, so I kind of was going to redshirt and come back for the 5th year.
Yeah.
Found out that my foot was basically going to enable me to race the next year, so I just ended up kind of going pro through it, like into an injury, which kind of led me into the COVID year, right? So there wasn't as many brands as I think. I was a little I'm trying to think of the right word. I was a little unprepared at how like little options there are actually in the pro scheme, because like you do so well in the NCAA, you kind of you get this idea that it's going to be easy once you get like there's gonna be like lineup of people wanting to talk to you, and for some that's the case, right? Like we have fantastic athletes that medal at like they win NCAAs or like they've had a fantastic career. Every event's a little different. Timing is important as well. And I think for me, I didn't have as many options as I think I thought I would, which was definitely tough. Like kind of going from like a lot of success to just be like, oh, damn it, I got to figure out a way to continue this, right? But I ended up kind of, when I was hurt, I kind of gave myself like no plan B. I said like, I'm going to continue to do this until like I literally can't run anymore. Like I'm going to get my foot better. And it's kind of hard to see like the light at the end of the tunnel when you're that injured, right? Like I'm on crutches at the point, like, and like I was off for like 2 months, like offloaded completely my foot for like 2 months, and I was like, you know what? I don't really have a plan B. Like whether I'm sponsored or not, like I'm gonna continue to try to run as fast as I can, because like, and it's hard. Like I mean, and I don't blame anybody for kind of stepping out of the sport once they leave college, because it's not easy. It's not easy. Like you kind of, when you're going from high school to college, you kind of have this like, okay, this is a linear path. Like I just gotta get into college, get a scholarship, X, Y, and Z, and you kind of just like get along on the roller coaster. Then the roller coaster ends, and you gotta kind of generate your own power, right? So if you're unsponsored, so like, what was the stat at USA's? What was it? It was.
So I read about it, and it was saying like I think it was like 60% of athletes are making like 25K or something or less. Like it was something ridiculous.
It gotta be more than that.
I think it was like 60-some% were like unsponsored.
Yeah,
like, they were like
unsponsored.
Like they were unsponsored. Like I forget the actual number. It was about 2/3.
Something crazy.
Yeah, where like they're unsponsored, and they're at USA's like one of the probably the hardest team to make for any event.
That's just crazy, man. Cause like you would think all these guys. I mean, like a lot of these athletes are the best in the world. I mean, especially in the States. Like it's so competitive, but a lot of these people are the best in the world, and then to think that some of them are like working part-time, and I mean even yourself, you're working a full-time job while running like a 3:55 in the mile. That's just kind of like that's crazy. Like I mean even with Cam, like shout out to Cam, because he's becoming a doctor and he also got the Canadian mile record.
Man,
it's just like
Cam's different, man. Cam's different, man.
No, but that just goes to show like the work ethic from like not just athletes but also like Canadian athletes.
Yeah,
I would say like there's something weird that just kind of makes Canadian athletes say like, screw it. Like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't. But I'm gonna go 100% and like and just go for it, right? Like, but what I really seen in the sport that like kind of pissed me off a bit is just like meeting people like Cam, for example, or even like yourself, and thinking, why is it that like these guys are not like publicized, or why are these guys not making thousands just from like their image and their name? Because I mean they are like the best in the world, I would say, like I mean in my eyes. So it's just like I don't know why. Could you like maybe talk a bit about that? Why is it that like Canadian athletes, for example, are almost overlooked when it comes to like sponsorship and endorsement deals?
I think it's just because I mean even like going into the NCAA, like it's kind of like Canadians will sort of, I don't want to speak for all Canadians, but sometimes they'll take whatever they can kind of get at because like they want to stay in the sport, right? And a lot of the, I guess, publicity and like the money does go towards like the American athletes, which if they bring in the money, right, like that, it's a revenue generating, right? If like that is like what the audience of track and field wants to see, then that's what they're gonna pay for, right? So I mean it is what it is, and I realize in this sport sometimes you just gotta take what you can get, and if you are offered something that might not be the greatest, but sometimes that's the only resource that you can have. But in terms of like why I guess Canadians are overlooked, I think as the years go by, like we're starting to kind of get some traction. Like
Yeah.
obviously like our sprints are doing amazing right now.
100%.
Across the board. Like they are like killing it. Women's, men's,
Yeah.
like both are doing fantastic. I think now more than ever we have the deepest 1500 meter class.
Yeah,
Like
for
with
sure.
me, Chuck, Will, Cam, like even guys like Charlie that are coming up.
Yeah.
It's getting deep. Like it's getting tough. Like it's like the 1500 is getting super competitive. The 800 you obviously have A-Rob and Brandon who's been doing well for so many years. So I think once we kind of like get like recognize like okay like Canada's here to like we're here to like compete and like we're here to like not just show up and try to like compete in the heats. Like we're trying to make finals and try to get like medals at these big meets. Right. I think once like that kind of becomes like the standard and norm, then we'll be able to sort of say okay like we're gonna offer these people more money because like they're representing a country that is like legit. And I think we're trending in that direction just from like what I've seen the past few years. But it should be exciting. Hopefully we can kind of grow the sport in Canada a little bit as well.
No, that's dope, man. It was really after COVID, I think that's when people started realizing like Canada is not to be played with. Right?
No,
like,
facts, exactly.
I mean, because with just seeing my group, like, I mean, Aaron, Charlie, Cam, these guys just like they popped on the scene right after COVID, and I was like there witnessing their training, and like it's kind of crazy to think, you know, some people they have to do like those runs alone. They have to like when it's raining or it's snowing, like they have to get that run in, but it's because they see that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I bet you've had like such a similar experience, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Definitely like even just training, I got solo up until March.
Yeah.
Just like training and like forcing yourself to get out there when it's 5 o'clock at night and it's dark and you're starting to work out in the dark and it's ending in the dark and it's tough. It definitely gets tough.
How do you stay motivated to like to continue when it's like almost like a lot of odds are just against you?
Yeah, I think it's just I keep telling myself like I said, like I have no plan B. Like it was me telling myself like no matter what I'm gonna get this done. Like I can stress about it as much as I want, or I can say this sucks. Like at the end of the day, like I'm gonna keep doing it. Like I'm not gonna stop. And I feel like I want to get to like the end of my career and be like, okay, like I can look myself in the mirror and say I did everything I could to be the best I can be, right? So, and I look back at some of those times. I'm like I don't even know how I got through some of those workouts. Just more mentally than anything. But staying. I guess there's like a difference between the motivation and discipline. Like I'm not always motivated. I'm not always motivated to go out there, and like sometimes I want to warm up and just like not talk to anybody and just like get this thing done because I'm tired. But at the end of the day, like I'm gonna show up and do it. And I think like, I guess at this level specifically, that kind of separates the people. Like, if you're motivated, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Right? If you're 100% motivated, like and you every single day you're motivated, it's just not the reality though. Like especially in a sport like this that. You're trying to put 70 miles a week in, 80 miles a week. You're trying to stay healthy. You're trying to go to get treatment. You're trying to do your weights. You're trying to do like all your hip activations, whatever you do.
And
right?
you also need to focus on making money too at the same time. It's like man, this is one other stress that just like I feel like a lot of other sports just don't like really understand. I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I think there are a lot of sports that do understand it, but obviously like you have like the upper level sports like the big four, like basketball, football, soccer, and hockey, like. Baseball, like those sports are gonna not understand as much. But I mean, there are a lot of sports like any Olympic event, like swimming or wrestling or something like that. Like it's just it's hard when the sport pinnacle is every 4 years. Essentially, right?
Yeah. So that's actually a cool topic because I seen on another podcast that like people are kind of saying, is the Olympics bad for the sport?
Wow.
And it was just an interesting take to me just because. I could kind of see what they're like, where they're coming from because they're trying to say that everyone's kind of just waiting on the Olympics every 4 years to watch track and field or watch like swimming, right? And it kind of just ruins the sport for the other years that like, I mean, because there's still world championships going on, there's still amazing events going, people are breaking like world records and stuff, but people are not seeing that because they're just waiting for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Especially like down years, like when there's like no world champs or like no Olympics. Like everybody's just like hibernating, like never out competing.
Yeah. Would you say that Olympics are like, I guess quote unquote bad for the sport?
I can definitely see both sides. Like now that you brought it up, I would say the Olympics definitely brings a lot of light to the sport.
That's so true. Yeah.
But again, I guess if you're in the track community, like Olympics is like glorified worlds. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Or even world, like any sort of major championship, like it's all the same people. They're just doing it at a stage that is assumingly like the peak of like our sport. But I would say it can't. I guess it could be kind of detrimental because there's a lot other than the Olympics. Like there's so many other events. Like, we have Commonwealth, we have World Indoors. There's Pan Ams. We have Nacac. We have tons of things that like tons of different events where like you see these high quality athletes compete still. Mm-hmm. But again, it's one of those things where if you're watching the Olympics, people will like take like 2 weeks off of work just to watch all the Olympics, right?
Yeah,
so like it kind of becomes like a massive event that's more than just track. That will be watched, but I don't know. It's a
tough one.
It's
like
tough.
It's a cool like interesting like topic, I would say, because it's like we could just debate like on and on about it.
Yeah.
But let's switch gears and just like a little bit. I guess like we're coming up closer to the end of it of this podcast, so I just want to like ask a couple of quick questions.
Yeah.
First off, what are your plans after this season? Like I mean, you've had such a great season in the 15, and I feel like now you're considered one of the best. What's gonna be like the next thing for you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely exploring a lot of options for next year. Like it definitely, hopefully, will look a little different than this year, where I have a little bit more structure. And sort of not have to be couch surfing as much. So I will definitely be going into a direction of more structured, like whether that be with like a brand group. So I'll definitely stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Goals for next year and the years coming, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like we talked about, like the Olympics is definitely like I feel like a goal for everybody.
Oh yeah.
And obviously making a world championship team would be fantastic. Most likely in the 15. So I'm just gonna continue to try to build on what I've already kind of built in the base this year, and continue for next year. Just really focus on that 15 mile and just I guess making teams like performing well at championships is obviously like that's what every athlete wants to do, especially in the sport. So just want to keep performing and just kind of see what I can get out of it.
Hell yeah, man. And I guess just one more like thing to the camera, if you could like talk to let's say your 15-year-old self, what would you tell them? Like what piece of advice would you let them know like to help them continue? Yeah,
absolutely. I think at least for me personally, like if I was talking to my 15-year-old self, I would say like it's gonna get a lot harder because I think you're kind of like when you're having success really young, you kind of just expect it, right? And you kind of tell yourself like, oh, like I've won off, so like I should be like going. So if I win off, so then I can win nationals. If I win nationals, then I'll like do this at ACCs. And I get like it's a line like and like you're gonna put in the same amount of effort mentally and physically, and you're gonna get the same result. It's gonna get harder is definitely what I would tell my younger self, just to be prepared for it. Because when I first got injured, I think I was I didn't mentally handle it properly because it was my first major injury, and I kind of thought I was Superman and could get through anything. But you definitely gotta like rein yourself back in and kind of bring yourself back down to earth a little bit. So like the biggest thing is just kind of understanding that the sport if the success in the sport will make you great, it's gonna be how you get through like the adversities that are gonna make you to where I am today, right? So like now I know what my body needs, I know what I can and can't do, I know generally how to prevent injury, I know if I have a bad race, it's not the end of the world. You don't feel great one day in a workout.
That's just like years of experience.
It's just gonna get hard. It's gonna be hard no matter what. And I think like I was kind of riding on talent when I was a little bit younger and like doing well and thinking like, oh, this is easy. Like this is gonna be like I'm gonna break the world record at some point. But it definitely does get harder. But when you kind of get to that light at the end of the tunnel, man, like you just kind of are so grateful for like being able to run. Like after like going through the hardship of my injury, like I was like just running for like 20 minutes and I was stoked. I was like, this is amazing, like pain free. Like it really becomes relative, right? So I definitely think like just embracing adversity and kind of like any challenge that you have, whether it be like even traveling, like it's an experience that's gonna make you better, even if if it's hard, right? So I think like trying to not stray away from things that are hard, like doing hard things is important.
Hell yeah, man. No, that's sick. Evan, I would say, do you have any more questions for
No,
Rob?
that's sweet.
Nah?
That's,
All right, I guess we
yeah,
can end it there. But man, thank you so much, Rob, for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely, man.
Man, good luck at Nacac, man. I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be sick. You're repping Canada again, bro. You're gonna do big things, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you
Yeah.
guys for having me here, man.
Nah,
Especially
that's
we're
dope.
this like 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys letting me come this early.
Hell yeah, bro.
Especially on
Nah.
Saturday, man.
Hell yeah, man. All right, well, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you have a good one and rise into the moon. Let's get it.
All right.